Open your Bibles to 1 Corinthians. We ready? Thank you all so much for coming after this break. Sam Jackson is the group starting specialist for the Secular Student Alliance. He joined the SSA in 2011 and is a graduate of The Ohio State University, where he studied philosophy and was the president of the Multicultural Understanding Through Non-Traditional Discovery Opportunities, MUNDO. Being introduced to many different cultures and their ideas has a profound impact on him during his college years and provided a greater appreciation and sense of respect for diversity. Ladies and gentlemen, our group starting specialist, Sam Jackson.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Dan. As Dan said, I'm the group starting specialist with the Secular Student Alliance, and I run the group starting program. So if you're interested in starting a group at your campus, come to me or just look up a group starting packet on our website, and I'll get you started. So I'm here to talk about group starting nuts and bolts. We're going to change gears a little bit. I hope, probably not expecting this. So I'm going to talk about the mental barriers that may keep you from running a group or running a group efficiently. There's a claim that you can do anything you put your mind to, but we all saw the Toy Story movie, and particularly the Buzz Lightyear fail, so we know that that's not true, but putting your mind to something will contribute to the success of that thing that you're trying to accomplish. So there are certain mental barriers that I'm going to look at specifically, and then I'm going to go over the solutions to those barriers that you can overcome. The first is fear. There's a lot of aspects to this. One of the first is that if someone is in the closet, it's going to definitely contribute to their lack of being their full potential in starting a group. When you request a group starting packet from the SSA, we ask if you want our identifying information or not, and we do that for two reasons. One reason is to accommodate those students and who don't want to be outed, and also to see where our students are in terms of how open they are about their identities or not. I'm not saying that not being open about your secular identity is a bad thing or not, but it will help you in your quest to starting a group. If you're discriminated against, don't respond likewise. You're supposed to respond to hate with what I like to call loving kindness. So we've all done something bad that we regret and probably don't like in our lives. And so the best type of empathy that you can give to someone is sympathy. So understanding that not everybody's perfect, and having that sort of sympathy in those types of situations. It can be large forms of discrimination, or even something small. Like, I worked with one student who said that when he was starting an atheist group, he got a look from an administrator, and little subtle things like that. But if you respond with sympathy, then that will help you. And finally, don't be afraid to fail. You can do everything that you can to run a successful group your first year, but sometimes you can't force that upon your environment that just will not accept you. So don't be afraid to not succeed. And at the end of the day, if you fail, you will learn what you can do better next time you try. The next is ignorance. So knowledge is power. The more you can know about everything that goes into starting a group, the better. In our group starting packets, we include a group starting running guide, and it includes basically everything that you could possibly want to know when starting a group. And all over our websites, we have links to countless articles and things that you can read and help apply that knowledge to your activities. So there are group starting requirements that your school has to become officially recognized, sometimes called a registered student organization. And it's very important for you to know exactly which steps that you need from your specific school to get recognized on campus, so you can have an action plan in place. And so in terms of the student group benefits, schools give their registered, officially recognized student groups on campus certain benefits. You may have, if you look at a map of the student union, you might see something called a student resource center, something similar to that, which the school will provide promotional materials for your group. There's free food and free refreshments, because schools typically sign some sort of contract with companies to increase brand loyalty to their students. And you get, like, I know my school at least, let you have free pizza, and there's always free refreshments that you could get. And also, of course, the SSA helps you with certain services and resources, like business cards and tabling supplies and grants and things like that. Student harassment policies. So if you put up a flyer, for instance, and you see it torn down the next day, look for your student code of conduct, which is usually a part of the student handbook for your school. There are going to be potential ramifications for that, so document that and follow through with it with some administrator. Yeah.
Quick question: do we find that SSA groups get harassment policy violations reported against them just for being there?
Just for being an SSA?
For other groups calling SSA groups out on harassment because they're...
Just because they're secular?
Because they're secular and because they're harassing religion.
I've never heard that before. The closest thing is just not allowing the group to exist, or not allowing them to, for instance, call themselves atheists or something, because that's an inflammatory word or something like that. And that's usually the school itself, but that would be bad. That's when we can step in and help. But yeah, know your school's harassment policies so you can know your rights, so you can know the power that you have to fight discrimination on your campus and against your group. And finally, the Equal Access Act, which is a law that allows secular student groups to exist on campus. As long as there are any extracurricular groups at your school, then there can be an SSA. Even if it's a chess club, it doesn't have to necessarily be a religious group. And viewpoint neutrality, which is this idea of how student fees are being distributed on campus. So if you feel as though your school is not or is withholding funds from you, then again, talk to us. They have to distribute funds in a viewpoint neutral manner, so they can't say, oh, we don't like you because we're a non-religious group and you shouldn't have access to these funds. So yeah, educate yourself as much as possible, and that will help you out a lot. All right, so open-mindedness, closed-mindedness is what you want to avoid, and the solution to that obviously is open-mindedness. Open-mindedness is loosely defined as just accepting the possibility of anything, including anything being true or false. The more open-minded you are with respect to what you believe your group will do in terms of its mission and activities and things like that, the more opening your group will be to potential students. So for instance, you may get a student that wants to focus on education, or a student that wants to focus on political activism. And if you say, no, my group is going to focus only on community service, then you're going to exclude those potential new members from your group. So keep an open mind about the future of a group, especially if it's new. When the group is many years old, obviously it's going to have a foundation and there's going to be a little less wiggle room there. But when it's new, keep that mind as open as possible. All right. So, burnout. Don't be late tired. Many groups die out because, you start off really, really strong. It's a new group, it's fresh, and you get a lot of newcomers, and you have all these amazing activities, and then winter hits, and you go on break, and everyone forgets about you, and you get a whole heck of a lot less students coming to your groups, and you feel less encouraged to continue, and you just give up. One way to avoid that is to have an equal balance in your year of activities. So try to plan as many activities as you have at the first part of the year as you do at the end, both in quantity and quality. So going to something like this with your group is fantastic, because that's going to be something that they can look forward to, and not just be there when it's fresh and new at the beginning of the year. And also take a break if you need it. We have the resource that I'm linking right there, secularstudents.org/burnout, that has a lot of wonderful ideas about how to recuperate if you're tired, because running a group is a job, and it's 24/7 year-round, and it's not an easy thing to do. But if you get your appropriated rest and you take care of yourself, you can do it. And also, make sure you find another leader like yourself. Look for people like the people who come to this conference, because they're obviously dedicated to learning those leadership skills, and they can totally help with your group. So if you're tired, you can switch out and say, well, do you facilitate the meeting this week? But if not, you can take off a week. Just let everyone know, and that's okay. Just don't make it a habit, or they will also make it a habit and won't come back. So, speaking of the mind, there's this thing called the law of attraction from books like The Secret and similar books. They run on this idea that the more you believe something will happen, the more it will happen. And that is obviously unscientific, but there is a kernel of truth to that. And I feel as though you can apply it to your group. It's the placebo effect, and it's the self-fulfilling prophecy, this idea that if what your expectations will come true. So what you expect will happen will more likely happen than if you don't expect it. So having that frame of mind will help a lot. Yeah, so positive thinking all the time. Sometimes dreams come true. And I'm not trying to, play the MLK card just because I have a picture of him, I'm right. But, it's possible that maybe less than 40 years in the future, we'll have an openly atheist president, not a secretly atheist president like Obama. And it really starts with you. Like, it seriously, making people okay with the secular identity on campus is going to go a long way. It's really going to affect the entire world and just reverberate in society and affect the collective consciousness of everyone. And finally, use us. Make my job relevant. Please talk to me. We love to hear from you. We love, even if you don't have a problem, we love hearing success stories and things that you're doing that's amazing, and we will empower you to continue to do amazing things like that. So, in the words of GLaDOS, help us help you, help us all. And that's the end of my presentation.